French-language CBC is scolding Albertans, policing the social media accounts of private citizens, and now rewriting history on behalf of Rachel Notley. Today I'll show you exactly what they're doing and what they just left out of their so-called internet fact check. You know, that provincial election call has got to be right around the corner, judging by the furious way the CBC is trying to rewrite history by debunking the Twitter and Facebook memes of completely random internet users. I mean, if this is what the CBC has time for, they clearly have far too much time and way too much of our money on their hands. Let me explain, though, right from the very beginning. So this picture here has been circling around the internet for, I don't know, I guess the better part of a month or so. In fact, even I tweeted out a version of this photo a couple of years ago, although mine didn't have any notation about Environment Minister Shannon Phillips on it. Now, the new version of this photo does include some false and misleading information on it, but the crux of the meme, it's still very accurate. The NDP is really against oil, despite all that they are saying now. But that didn't stop the CBC, and to top it all off, French-language CBC, because that is so perfectly CBC to scold Albertans in French, from lecturing normal people for passing around this meme. CBC even took the time to try to revise history on behalf of the very clearly outgoing NDP Premier of Alberta, Rachel Notley. Look at this headline here. No, this photo does not show Rachel Notley demonstrating against pipelines. Okay, thanks, CBC. I'll just take your word for it that Rachel Notley was just lost, maybe looking for a cat, and accidentally wandered into this protest organized by legitimate communists, squatter wackadoodles, the rest of the NDP, and anti-oil activists, just to get directions to get away from the protest, but then she accidentally ended up speaking at it. Yeah, you know, I totally hate when that happens to me. Let's see how the CBC makes this logic pretzel, though. Translated from French. This 2015 photo shows Rachel Notley and Environment Minister Shannon Phillips demonstrating against pipelines, says a Facebook account of a user named Kyle Taylor. Its publication gave a lot of visibility to the photo. Between January 10th and February 13th, it was shared more than 7,700 times. CBC is not done yet. They go on. First of all, the person holding the sign in the foreground is not Shannon Phillips, although it looks very similar to her. Her spokesperson, Matt Dykstra, confirms that this is not the Minister of the Environment. The 2015 date mentioned is also false. The CBC archives confirm that the photo was taken on December 3rd, 2011, 4 years and 2 elections earlier. Look, let me be clear. While there has been some information spread about the holder of the sign in the photo being Shannon Phillips, it's not her, and most people know it's not her. Most people have never even suggested as much, although it certainly wouldn't be out of character for someone who co-authored a book with a Greenpeace activist and former Rachel Notley constituency staffer named Mike Hadima, because Shannon Phillips did do that. It also wouldn't be out of character for someone who attended an anti-Northern Gateway pipeline protest in Terrace, British Columbia. Shannon Phillips also did that. So yeah, while that may not be Shannon Phillips in that photo, I can definitely see where all the confusion may lie. And as far as Rachel Notley, that definitely is her at the protest. And even the gaslighting CBC concedes that much. CBC, in their entire article, never mentions what that protest was really about that day. They obfuscate and deflect and make excuses for Notley by saying, and I quote, "The event that Rachel Notley participated in that day was intended to pressure the provincial and federal governments of the day to become more engaged in reducing greenhouse gases." CBC then thinks their own sloppy coverage of the event that day proves that it was just a simple gathering of concerned do-gooders, not an explicitly anti-oil protest. CBC says some protesters held placards showing their opposition to the pipelines, but this theme does not seem to be at the heart of their demands. The report produced that day by Radio Canada does not mention it. The article published in English on the CBC website either. Oh, well, I guess that settles it. That's all it was, right, CBC? Just a random event with no theme. Just people at the legislature talking about CO2. Not exactly. CBC accidentally gave us one clue as to the true nature of this protest. They gave us the date, December 3rd, 2011, held at the Edmonton legislature. Fantastic. I took that information, added a couple of keywords like climate protest, and with just a few simple cranks of the handle on the old Google machine here, I got my answers about who organized this whole pathetic, poorly attended affair. There is no mistaking that this event was very anti-oil and very NDP. In fact, the first word in the CTV headline reporting of that day is NDP. NDP, activists rally against climate change. Let's keep reading though. Let's see who those other activists mentioned in the headline are. Activists with Greenpeace, the Sierra Club, Keepers of the Athabasca, and Occupy Edmonton have united to call on governments to address climate change. Let's just stop right there. All four of those groups are explicitly anti-oil, anti-pipeline, anti-fossil fuel development. All four. Actually, let's make it 5 because the NDP, they're not fooling anybody either. But let's keep reading through the article. MLA for Edmonton Strathcona, Rachel Notley, told those in attendance she supported their call for action. She said, "I think we have to start making the hard decisions." Now look at this photo here, taken the day of. It's maybe, and if I'm being generous, like 24 people attending this entire protest. It's not like Notley didn't see those anti-oil signs. It's not like those signs got lost in an overwhelming, unmanageable crowd. There's literally no crowd. And Notley told CTV Edmonton she supported those people. I would suggest Notley was there because of what was written on those signs and not at all in spite of them. So thanks, CBC French, but we aren't all hard of remembering, and the internet is forever anyway. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. You just can't trust the mainstream media. You certainly can't trust the CBC. That's why we've embedded a reporter, Cian Bexty, on the United We Roll convoy for Canada all the way to Ottawa. To catch all of his coverage and to support his trip there, go to rebelconvoy.com.